Hey everyone, hope you're all very well. In today's video we'll be going through the most beneficial upper body resistance machines that should be available at most gyms. This will be a two-part video series. Today we'll focus on upper body, and in the next video we'll focus on lower body exercises. So if you've just joined the gym or if you're just getting into resistance training, stay tuned. I believe this video will be very beneficial for you. So when it comes to upper body training, we have two main movements, pushing and pulling. We then have two types for each movement, horizontal and vertical, pushing and pulling. So it's very important when we train upper body, we base our workouts on these movements, and then we can supplement it with some isolation exercises to make it even more beneficial. We'll start off by going through the horizontal push movement, which is a chest press. With this exercise, we are working the chest, shoulders, and triceps. So most chest press machines will look something like this. What we want to do first is adjust the seat. So very easy, just pull the yellow part, adjust the seat. So when you sit down, the handles are in line with your lower chest. With this machine, we have two different handles. I'll go with the lower handle simply because it allows us to get more range of motion. So we would want our lower handles to be in line with the chest. This is a bit too low for me. It could have also been too high. So that's why it's important we adjust the seat before starting the exercise. So that looks a lot more in line with my lower chest. Before we do that, we just need to adjust the weight. Always start off with a moderate weight. You can always increase the weight if it's too easy for you. From there, we need to have a slight arch in our lower back, which will allow us to retract our shoulder blades together, keeping the chest out and shoulders on the side. From here, we'll get a good grip on the handles. And then from here, before we begin, we'll inhale, so breathe in and push. Control back and push. So just a couple of things to go over here. Elbow position. We don't want to flare out the elbows. We want to keep them down and right behind our hands. From here, push. Number two, we don't want to lock out aggressively. So of course, go all the way out, but without aggressively locking out the elbows. Another common mistake with this machine is letting the chest collapse or pushing too much, so overextending the shoulders, which would look something like this. So we want to keep our upper back in contact with the bench throughout the movement. So that's the chest press. So after completing our chest press, which was a horizontal pushing exercise, we can now move on to the other main movement, which was pulling, and we can go for a vertical pull, which means the Lat Pull Down machine. A great exercise, very popular. So the Lat Pull Down, to perform this exercise, first we'll adjust the pad. So the purpose of the pad is to keep us seated. So from here, you just need to pull the yellow part and adjust the pad. Adjust your weight, of course. Again, start with a moderate weight. You can always increase. From here, next up, we're going to look at our hand placement on the bar. So we'll begin with just outside. So there are different variations of the Lat Pull Down, but today we'll just look at the standard Lat Pull Down. And for that, we'll go for just outside shoulder width grip on the bar. So I've adjusted my pad, I've adjusted my weight. Now I'm going for my just outside shoulder width grip on the bar, and then I'm bringing the bar down, getting underneath those pads into my seated position. From here, I have an upright posture. I'm going to very slightly lean back. And then before I pull, I want to make sure my shoulders are also dropped down, so depressed. And from here, as you pull, I want you to think about pulling towards your chest and keeping the elbows underneath your hands. about there. Slowly controlling up, pulling down. So to begin with, you don't have to worry about pulling too much. A very common mistake is trying to pull too low, which then ends up rounding the shoulders, which is a big mistake because that will take the tension off the lats, which is the target muscle. The lats are the muscles on the sides of your back. So yeah, just going back to that point, want to avoid rounding the shoulders. So pull down, drive down with your elbows and slowly control up, pull down, keep in good form throughout the movement. And breathing out as you pull. To finish, just slowly stand up with the bar and return to the initial position. Now we can continue with another pushing exercise. This time it will be a vertical push. So the first one, the horizontal push, was the chest press. Now the vertical push will be a shoulder press. So with this one, again, first we need to adjust the seat. So when we sit down, the handles are just above our shoulders. Otherwise it will be very difficult to get into position. So here, I will just drop the seat down one spot. Again, start off with a moderate weight. You can always increase. Now we have two different handles here, the closer grip and the wider grip. So the closer grip will place a lot more tension on the front delts. When you go wider, it's going to place a lot more tension on the lateral, on the side of the shoulders. So if you wanted to place more emphasis on a certain area of the shoulder, you can adjust your grip. Another difference between the grips is mobility. So if we don't have very good shoulder mobility and to go with the wider grip, it might be a little bit more tricky for us to do that. It might mean we have to flare out the elbows, which can put a lot of stress on the shoulder. So we don't want to do that. Our goal is to keep the elbow underneath the hands. So if I go with the wide grip, so my starting position, I've got the handles just over my shoulders. If I really wanted to be extra safe, I could probably drop the seat down so I don't have to struggle getting underneath the handles. Then from here, keeping the elbows underneath the hands. Again, good posture, think about keeping the core tight. And then push the handles straight up. So main thing here is the elbow position. We want to keep them underneath the hands, keeping that 90-degree angle in the elbows. Pushing, once again, we don't want to aggressively lock out the elbows at the top. This might lead to some issues, so we want to avoid that. Control on the way down. Again, elbows, keeping them in and pressing. Controlled down. On the way down, we can stop about ear level. So we don't want to go all the way down. So stop a little bit before, keep the tension on the shoulders. Our fourth exercise will be another pulling exercise. This time will be a horizontal pulling. First, we did the lat pull down, which was vertical. This time, we'll go for the horizontal pull, a seated row machine. There's lots of different variations of this one. I'm pretty sure this will be available in most gyms, so I'll go through this one. First, again, like the other machines, seat and pad position is very important. So I want to adjust the seat by pulling the yellow part so that the pad is in front of my chest. Once I do that and I'm in position, I can have my feet here or on the ground, whichever one's most comfortable. Again, we have two different grips on the seated row machine. So going closer and then going wider. These different hand positions will place more emphasis, more tension on certain areas of your back muscles. Going with the wider and higher grips will place more emphasis on your upper back, and going with the close and lower handles will place more emphasis, more tension on your lats. So, once I'm in my position, I'll demonstrate both, going with the close grip first. So, very important, we want to have an upright posture with this exercise. We don't want our chest to collapse and end up rounding the back. This will minimize the engagement of our back muscles. So, upright posture, and then as we row, we want to keep the elbows close to the body with this grip, pulling and squeezing the shoulder blades together, controlling back, keeping the chest up throughout the movement. Going with the top grip and the wider grip. So with this one, we don't want the elbows to be close to the body. We want to have them flared out more, about 45 degrees to the body. Controlled back. So that's our seated row machine, a great back exercise. So whenever we're pulling, whenever we do pulling exercises, we target our back. Whenever we do pushing exercises, it's going to be either the chest or shoulders and triceps. Okay, so now we have completed the 4 main movements, which was the horizontal push, which was the chest press, then the vertical pull, which was the lat pull down. Then we moved on to the vertical push, the shoulder press machine. And then the horizontal pull was the seated row. Now we can do some isolation exercises with the resistance machines. The first one will be for the chest. A very popular exercise is the pec fly or the chest fly machine. With this machine we could do 2 exercises. I will show you both. First, we have the chest fly. So at the top, we want to adjust the bars, the handles, depending on which exercise we want to do. If you want the chest fly, we want to set the handles so it's on the side. Again, adjust the seat. So when you sit down and when you get your grip on the handles, your arms should be in line with your chest. So from here, good grip on the handles. Now keeping the arms straight, just a slight bend in the elbows, so not fully locked out, a slight bend. From there, once we think about keeping the chest out, bringing the handles together at the top, right in front of you. Then keeping the chest out, slowly stretching out, returning to the initial position, bringing the handles forward again. So we want to maintain that arm position throughout the movement. Okay, the second isolation exercise will be on the same machine, the reverse fly, also known as the rear delt fly, which targets your rear delt muscles. So, which means delts means shoulders, so deltoids. The shoulders have 3 heads, the front, side, and the posterior, the rear delt. This reverse fly will target the back of the shoulders. So to do that, first adjust the handles. So this time they should start closer to the machine and not on the side. And we'll be facing the other way, so facing that way. With this one, now we need to adjust the seat to make sure. Now we have two handles here, of course. I prefer going with the top handles. You can also go this way. I prefer this one, feels much more comfortable on the wrists. Now from here, we want the top handles to be in line with your shoulders. Sometimes you may come to the machine, it may be too low, it may be too high. So adjust the seat so the top handles are in line with your shoulders. Now from here, keeping an upright posture, we're keeping the same exact arm position, so slightly bent elbows, but keeping them straight. And then think about pulling apart the handles. Keeping the arms straight, controlling back, pulling apart, stopping when the hands are in line with the shoulders. Now, we have another isolation exercise. This time, the next two exercises will be focusing on isolating the arms. So when we do our pushing and pulling exercises, of course your arms will be worked a lot, but if you wanted to perform some more exercises to target your arms, then you can perform isolation exercises, which will only isolate those muscles, so the biceps and the triceps. This one is the bicep curl machine. First, adjust the seat, so when you sit down, you can rest your arms easily on the pad in front of you. Then reach down, get a good grip on the handles. Now your elbows stay on the pad throughout the movement. Now make sure you're not having your wrist in this weak position. It can definitely lead to some pain. So make sure the wrist is straight, engage the forearms. Then lift the handles up and towards you, all the way. Controlled back, so stretching the biceps. And curl. So really controlling the exercise. You should feel the contraction of the biceps at the top. And that's about it. The last isolation exercise we'll be going through is for the triceps, the back of the arms. Now machine-wise, this one is very popular. Almost every gym I've been to has this Tricep Extension machine. So we'll be going through this one. Again, adjust the seat so when you sit down, you can have your triceps on the pad very comfortably. Get a good grip here, again keeping the wrists straight, having the elbows so not flared out, just below, right under your hands. From here, you want to think about extending, so straightening out your arms by pressing down the handles all the way. So that's full contraction of the triceps. All the way, control up. There we go. Okay, so to wrap up the video, if you're just getting started with your resistance training, and if you want to start off with just the machines, the exercises today will be perfect for you, as we covered all of the main movement patterns, so the pushing and the pulling, as well as some isolation exercises for the rear delts, chest and arms. I really hope you found that video useful. As mentioned in the beginning, there will be a part 2 where we'll be going through lower body machines. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future uploads. You can also contact me through the comment section, or even better, you can contact me through Instagram. All the links are in the description box below. Thank you for watching.